Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Because I guarantee you, whatever problem you came in to this service with this morning, that love is the answer. Love is the answer. But first, a joke. This young couple went out on a date. It was their very first date. Teenagers and very smitten with each other. And so the young man brings the young lady to her front door, and he's feeling very confident because the date went well, and he puts his arm up on the wall, and he puts on a big smile. He says, "Well, how about a good night kiss?" And she's like, no, I can't. My family's here. My family might see. No. And he's like, but come on, nobody's going to see. And, just a one little kiss, just to end the night. Just, no, don't embarrass me. My family's here. I can't. He's like, please. And she said, no. He's like, oh, come on. And it went back and forth for a while until finally the porch light came on. And the front door opened, and the young lady's older sister came to the door in her pajamas, and her hair was all disheveled. And she said, well, Dad wants you to know it's okay for you to kiss him. And if need be, I could kiss him. And he said even he would be willing to kiss him. But please, stop leaning on the intercom button. So love begins in fun ways sometimes, doesn't it? So we're talking about love this morning. Love is the answer. So I want to invite you into thinking about that, whatever it is, maybe that you came into the service with this morning, that situation, whether it be a relationship or health concern or finances. Just take a moment to close your eyes and just be with it. Just be with that, whatever it is. Hold it in your heart, the situation. And check in with how you've been speaking about it, how you've been relating to it, and what's your intention there? What's your intention? Have you created an intention? Because we know that our lives begin from the point of our intention, that we are creating our lives from within out. And so envision that situation and think about if you could bring more love there, what would that look like? Can you bring more love to your body temple as it's healing if you're going through a healing challenge? Can you bring more love to your finances, appreciating what you have, blessing your bills as they are paid and go out, giving thanks for the income that comes in, and bringing more love there, bringing more love to your relationships. You hold an intention in your relationship with others, in your relationship with God. How are you envisioning? What is your perception of God and your relationship with God? And so when you're ready, just bring your attention back to this space. And so we're just connecting in, because behind all the dysfunction and the tears and the fears of our lives, there is an ancient knowing that we hold within us, a knowing that we are here to live heaven on earth. Amen? We are. And that there is a way forward. There is a way to that experience, and the way is through the power of love. While love exists as a divine idea, it is only present in us as potential. We have got to act it. We have got to live it. We have got to give it, or it's just an idea that exists. When the master teacher, Jesus Christ, was asked, what is the greatest commandment in the Gospel of Matthew? He replied, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And he said there's a second commandment too. That's the first one. The second commandment is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, so he gave us 3 major relationships to express, receive, give, love in, and he prioritized them. So very first is your relationship with God, and your relationship with yourself. I don't always think about our relationship with ourselves. We have a relationship, a way that we communicate, a way that we regard ourselves, and your relationship with your neighbor, and all people, all beings, okay? So first I want to begin with our relationship, our love relationship with God, okay? We are taught that God is love. However, our understanding of God can really color our whole experience of life. So we carry with us our ideas of God that we've had throughout our life. And one of the things we did this week in my Metaphysics 1 class, for those of you who have been on the journey of metaphysics with me, you know that we take time to look at our very earliest memory of God. What did God look like? What was your relationship with God? And every time I teach this class, I've taught it many times, I can't count how many times I've taught it, what comes up is this male figure who's punishing, who's angry, now that who loves us too, but kind of on a whim, like depending on how you're doing, depending on whether you're sinning, or it definitely sees us as a sinner, right? And we know this is not our understanding of God now in unity, that this is what we call embedded theology. And you know why it's embedded, why we call it embedded? Because you never lose it. It's there. And sometimes it's working subconsciously, but we can hear it in our words and how we talk about our lives and our relationship with God. Like, oh, that good thing didn't happen to me, or that healing didn't happen, so it must have been God's will. Why would God will anything, any harm to you? That is not ever God's will, for harm to come to you. And yet we say these things. And that's our embedded theology, because we're not yet at an understanding of what unconditional love looks like. It can be beyond our human understanding. And so we create God in our image. As a parent, and I wanted to share with you my own kind of struggles with understanding God when I was a child, of an experience that I had. I was raised Catholic. Any former Catholics or Catholics here? Yes. And I was around the age of my daughter, 7, and I was preparing for my first Holy Communion. And one of the things that's required for First Holy Communion is that you go to confession. You go to confession, and I was told I was a sinner and there would be something that I need to confess, and I was 7, and I was trying to think of, what all bad things I was doing, and I was having a hard time with that. I'm not saying I was a perfect kid, but I was a good kid. And so I figured, well, I've got to do something to confess in order to be forgiven. I have to do it because, otherwise this whole communion thing is not going to work out. So I was operating in this kind of figuring out what thing I was going to do. And I went with my mom to a doctor's appointment, and in this doctor's office, they had this area where I think they had those little golden books, and they had highlights magazines, and I thought, I'm going to take one. That's what I'm going to take one. And so it was winter, and I had my winter coat on, and I was being all sly and slick. I was very nervous, though. And I took it, I slipped it into my coat. Meanwhile, probably this doctor's office didn't care if you took it, but that's besides the point. In my mind, I was stealing, and I needed to be forgiven. So I took that, whatever that little book or magazine was, home, and I went to confession, and I was forgiven. But do you see how messed up that was? And I'm not saying the church didn't tell me to do that. That's what I created in my mind. We can create these kind of things of our relationship with God and how we need to behave to please God or to redeem ourselves. And all that embedded theology can be dysfunctional. For me, that was dysfunctional, that I thought God expected me to sin, so I didn't want to disappoint God, and I sinned so God could forgive me. So just check in to see if any way in your life you're allowing yourself to be victimized by your idea of God. Any way that you're allowing that to happen, that is not of God. That's not love. That's not love. There is a way to experience the love of God, and that is to keep that first commandment, to keep your spiritual practice. That's how you experience the love of God. So are you putting God first in your life so that you can live the first commandment? What does that look like? What does that look like? So 15 minutes a day, where you stop thinking about your problems, stop thinking about the stuff in your life, things you want to fix, stuff you have to do, and just sit in the love. Just feel that love, because that love is flowing. We know it is. We feel it. Hopefully we all felt it, or feeling it this morning. Just sit in that and give yourself the gift of that, putting God first in your life, and learn that experience. Charles Fillmore, our Unity co-founder, said, feel after God, that experience of love. When we give ourselves that is when we are letting go of all thoughts that are unlike love, so we can be in that presence of the love of God that is within us, and then we can live from that. So that's the foundation. That's the foundation of our spiritual life. Are we willing to do that? Can we give 15 minutes a day at least to God, putting God first? And that's just simply just letting yourself be bathed in that love. When Jesus was baptized, and what he heard after he was baptized was, "You are my beloved child in whom I'm well pleased." Remind yourself of that. In whom I'm well pleased. Never judging. There's no judgment in God. And that's the truth that we know and we live. And so if you're living from any less than that, then we want to support you in shifting that thinking, because your relationship with God affects how you see life and your connection with the world. So the second relationship, I believe the second one is the relationship with yourself. He says, love your neighbor as yourself, because how do you know how to love your neighbor as yourself if you don't know how you're loving yourself, right? You've got to know how you love yourself first. And you've got to love yourself first, and that's not being selfish. Because if you don't love yourself first, what we tend to do is project the pain that we're carrying onto other people. And we can do it unconsciously, and it can be very harmful and toxic to do that. So we want to be really aware of what's going on in us. Sometimes we go unconscious, being forgiving, self-compassion through that. So how can we truly feel good about ourselves, to really feel good about ourselves? And this can be a fleeting thing for us. It can be a fleeting thing. Why? Why is it fleeting, feeling good about yourself? And I was looking at the research that was done by Dr. Kristen Neff. You heard of her? She's a pioneer in the field of self-compassion. She says that in our competitive society, we need to feel special and above average to feel worthy. Well, if we need to feel above average to feel worthy and special, then that means only half of us are going to feel that way, and half of us, and that can change depending on what field we're in, what we're doing, if we're in an area that we excel. And we all have areas in which we excel, but there's always somebody who's prettier, smarter, more successful, right? And so more reasons to compare ourselves and to feel bad and that we haven't achieved what we think we're going to achieve. And we can cause ourselves incredible amounts of emotional pain this way. I have. Have you done this to yourself, where you've compared yourself? You've gone on Facebook and you see people who you went to school with and like, oh, they're doing good. wow. And then just use that to pick on yourself. And this is it's a problem in our society. It's why millions of people take pharmaceuticals every day so that they can get through the day, because there's depression and anxiety from this need that we have to feel worthy, and that we judge ourselves and harm ourselves with this judgment. You relate to this? You ever done this? I have. So what do? Well, to feel more positive about ourselves, we inflate our egos by putting other people down so we feel better about ourselves. That's a pattern that we can tend to have in relationships that Dr. Neff tells us about. And she gives an example of a situation that between a couple where the husband comes home and the wife says, "Oh, good, you're home. Did you pick up the groceries I asked for?" And he says, "I just walked through the door. How about, nice to see you, dear. How was your day?" And she says, "Well, if you weren't so forgetful, maybe I wouldn't have to hound you." And he says, "Well, as a matter of fact, I did pick up the groceries." And she says, "Oh, well, it's the exception that proves the rule. I wish you weren't so unreliable." So this is not a recipe for love in a relationship, right? It's not a recipe for happiness. But our egos can tend to project our shortcomings on other people so we feel better about ourselves. And it puts us in an endless cycle of conflict. So we want to be really present to when we're doing this and seek the solution to this, seek healing in this. So there is a solution. And Dr. Neff says that we need to just stop judging ourselves altogether. That comparison, that judging, it's really harmful. And to simply accept ourselves just as we are with an open heart. And start to feel that compassion for yourself, for the life that you've lived. Because you've only ever made decisions from the best that you knew how in the given situation that you were in. And most of us are much kinder to others than we are to ourselves, or hold doors open for people. We say thank you. But what we don't realize is that when we're really wonderful and kind and loving to each other, but we're criticizing ourselves, we're still creating separation. Because we're not loving ourselves. We're creating boundaries. This is the opposite of love. So recognize that. I tend to be very hard on myself. So I do a lot of work to be compassionate and loving and supporting of myself. Loving yourself means wanting health and well-being for yourself and taking action to do so rather than being passive, like that idea like, oh, well, be a victim, this is happening to me, or it's God's will. There's that kind of thinking that we can lead into. No, there is health and well-being, and so it's taking that action to notice what's right and acknowledge it in yourself, acknowledge it in your life, and to make choices that lead to joy. To make choices that lead to joy, like coming here to Unity. So give yourself compassion, care for your heart, make positive choices for yourself, and you will see that you will learn how to love yourself by doing that. And therefore you learn how to really love others as you love yourself, the way that you intend to love others, with true love, rather than with, well, if they just fix that, I could love them, right? So the third relationship is relationship with others. So we're healing our relationship, knowing God is love, spending time bathed in that love, giving compassion to ourselves, and creating a loving relationship with ourselves, and then relationship with others. Do you know the number one thing that makes us happy in life? Anybody know the number one thing, this is studied, that makes us happy in life, that actually makes us live longer? Oh, I hear some of it out there. I'm just saying it. In 1938, Harvard researchers did an 85-year-long study of people that they checked in with every 2 years. They checked their health records. They asked them questions. It was 724 participants. And they discovered that it wasn't career achievement, it wasn't money, it wasn't exercise, it wasn't health, that consistently over 85 years of study, positive relationships I know, Dr. Randall, you knew that. I can see you smiling there. Positive relationships keep us healthier, happier, and help us to live longer. But our relationships need to be nurtured. They call this social fitness. And so because they affect us physically, they do. Like, we know that when we've had a really good conversation with a friend, where we really feel heard. We did an exercise in Reverend Linda's workshop last Sunday where we listened and we were present for each other without showing any kind of response, just holding that space. And we were feeling really heard. That's a good feeling to feel that. And when we break up with somebody, we feel that too. We feel brokenhearted. We can feel sleepless. Our relationships affect us physically. There's a couple, Doctors John and Julie Gottman. They've been married for 35 years, and they're relationship therapists. And they've been studying relationships of 40,000 couples who have just started couples therapy over the 50 years of their practice. And they discovered the 1 phrase for successful relationships. Any ideas what the 1 phrase for successful relationships is? I'm sorry. That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. It's thank you. And I thought, well, I love you would be it. No, it's thank you. They discovered this, that a thriving relationship requires an enthusiastic culture of appreciation. And why? Because we easily fall into the trap of seeing what our partner is not doing. They didn't take out the garbage. They didn't walk the dog. And then we start doing that thing where we're projecting onto them and using judgment, right? When you believe that you're the only one giving any effort in a relationship, then this is an unhealthy narrative that you're creating. So we can build a whole new mindset by, instead of, this is a unity practice, not just in therapy, we teach this in unity, to scan for positives. Do it in all areas of your life, not just in your beloved relationships, but scan for positives. Look for what's working and say thank you. Say thank you. Now, we do this without thinking often, with the people we work with and that kind of thing, but with our relationships, our most intimate relationships, we can forget to say thank you for the day-to-day things. And what the Gottmans are encouraging us to do is to be an anthropologist with our partner. So as they're going about their day, to notice what they're doing, to actually notice what they're doing. And we're always so focused on ourselves. Notice what they're doing and just write down all the things they're doing. And they said it won't bother the person that you're following them. It won't change what they're doing. That you just say you're seeking to learn more about who they are and what they're up to. And so don't write down any negatives, just write down the positives. And when you have the opportunity to share this, what you noticed, that you start a cycle of appreciation, and then it encourages that other person into that gratitude as well, and it strengthens it in your relationship. So they say, don't just say thank you, you want to say why you're thankful, and how you experience what they're doing. And so I thought of, when I started thinking of all the things that my husband David does, I'm like, wow. And I know that there are times where I've picked on him, like, why didn't you take out the garbage, things like that. And so I'm continuing to grow in my appreciation. And one thing that I really feel grateful for is that when he goes to Starbucks, a lot of times he brings me back my favorite drink, which is a hot matcha green tea latte with coconut milk, 1 pump vanilla. So that's my drink. It's specific, right? I mean, you have to have something fancy at Starbucks, right? I don't know. For me, I feel like it's important. So when he brings me my special drink, that's exactly the way I want it. I feel so loved that he remembered me. I love the way it tastes and smells. I savor it. I enjoy it. And it just makes my whole day better knowing that he remembered me and I get to enjoy this. And so that's the kind of thing that we can share with beyond thank you. Just really how did you feel? What does it make you? How does it change your life to have this experience with them? Because our relationships are there to love and support us. And if you're not experiencing the love that you want to experience, then it begins with you. Begin with your relationship with God, feeling that love. Give love to yourself, compassion for whatever you're going through, and share the love with those in your life by showing your appreciation. I want to close this with the definitions of love that are given to us in Scripture from 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. And so now we get to express our love for our couples. So if those who are committed couples would like to participate in our vow renewal today, please stand where you are. Just stay where you are and stand. And we will all hold you in love and light. Yes, look at this beautiful. We have so many. Wonderful. Thank you so much. We are gathered here today for the purpose of renewing a commitment of love. Scripture tells us that love is the nature of God. When we are in love, we are in God. We're here to reveal the truth of spiritual reality in our relationships with one another, and nowhere is this more true than in marriage. Your relationship allows you to grow and build upon the lives that you've created individually. You have chosen to be together in a marriage where you are safe to express your feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts. Marriage is a great adventure when it is an outward expression of great love. Love is our truest nature and expresses through us from an infinite source. In marriage, we are our most intimate and authentic selves, and it is there that the love we are is the most palpable. Love requires honesty within yourself and also with your spouse. Be honest and open with each other and ask for what you need. Take action even though you may be afraid. Share how you feel. Listen with your heart and give your partner freedom and support to be the unique gift of God that he is, that she is. Marriage is the form in which you've chosen to express and to live your love relationship. To serve its purpose, your marriage will grow as you grow, but your unchanging commitment to life and to love will allow you both to experience a magnificence unknown to you before. So now I invite you to face each other, to join hands, and to repeat after me. So decide who will go first. Repeat after me, whoever's going first. I, and say your name. Take you, say your partner's name, as my partner in life, to share my life openly with you, to love and encourage you, to honor and tenderly care for you, to speak the truth to you in love through all the changes in our lives. This day I renew my vow to you with an even greater commitment. I am here for you, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And now the other partner, it's your turn. Please repeat after me. I, say your name. Take you and say your partner's name. As my partner in life, to share my life openly with you, to love and encourage you, to honor and tenderly care for you, to speak the truth to you in love through all the changes of our lives. This day I renew my vow to you with an even greater commitment. I am here for you, yesterday, today and tomorrow. It is traditional in a wedding to exchange the gift of rings. It is most fitting on this day of recommitment and renewal to exchange a gift as well. Right now, turn to your partner and gaze into this face that you love. Remembering the months and years of your love, think of something that you are grateful for that this beautiful soul brings to your life and to your home and to this marriage. Just one thing, I know there are many, but just let one gift that you've been given here rise in your awareness now. It may be a quality that he or she possesses, such as loyalty or honesty. It may be an act of service, a specific one, or a pattern of love and care that he or she has exhibited to you. So think of this gift that your partner has so freely and lovingly given to you in this relationship as you silently thank them now as you look into their eyes. Now, each in turn, tell your partner what gift they have brought you that you're so grateful for. Now, both feeling the gratitude for your partner that you've expressed and also how good it feels to be appreciated by your spouse. I ask you this: what gift will you give today and into the future in your relationship? Perhaps it is just to do or be more of what your partner has thanked you for. Maybe there's something else you know he or she would love. Let your heart be open and be generous. What would she or he love to receive from you? Don't worry about being eloquent. Saying it simply is the best way. Now tell your partner what you want to give them going forward from this moment, and each take a turn. The vows that you have spoken, the promises you have made and renewed here today must be redecided and re-promised and renewed tomorrow and every tomorrow that comes. For marriage is not an event, it is a process, an activity of living, and the activity of love. It is liberating, it sets you free to become your best self, knowing that you have the wind of spirit at your back and the hand of your beloved in your own. And so let us all join together in blessing these couples now. So please know this prayer with me as we send our love to these couples. May your days be long upon the earth. May you dwell in love and peace and good health together. And may each of you find joy in the joy you continue to find in each other. Amen. Couples, please be seated. Thank you for allowing us to witness the beauty of your love today. I'm so grateful. I just want you all to remember that you are love and to go forth and be the love in the world. God bless you.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.